All right, welcome to class. Get yourself 2 blocks and a strap if you know you need that for, especially for tight hamstrings or tight back line. And before we start moving, I invite you to think about something that is a curiosity for you in your practice, in your body, in your physicality right now, just a curiosity that you have. As we will continue today with this kind of idea of beginner's mind and starting again. So I was just sharing that I had to restart and restart and restart my computer. So it's always so interesting, like, oh, parallel. Couldn't get things going this morning, but so here I am, restarted and restarted and restarted. And then just let that curiosity just sort of marinate for a minute or so. Because once we start moving, we want to come out of the conceptual and into the body. And you might even you might be aware of a space, a tightness in your body somewhere, or a place that feels less open. Here's my offering this morning on beginner's mind. We are, all of us, more comfortable with what we know. We're comfortable with having like a reliable something, or rather, we want to stay there. And sometimes the reasons that we don't go into the unknown are pretty deeply seated. So that can be an exploration that we have. Every moment of every day, we have the opportunity to choose to do something differently, or choose to go into that place that's scary and unknown. So even though we're going to practice things that we practice all the time, could you have new eyes, just an openness to the practice? As this is our laboratory to practice. So I'll meet you on the mat. So on your back, feel the hug of gravity. Just letting gravity be your friend here. So surrendering to the ground, to the earth. Allow yourself to be just held by gravity. And notice the tendency to want to move right away or be in a hurry. Just allow a little time to settle. Just like the snow globe, if you shake it up and you watch all those little white flecks just rest on the bottom of the snow globe, just let yourself settle. And then just press lightly on the back of your head, tuck your shoulder blades underneath, stack your knees over your hips, and just begin to rock back and forth, side to side. You can let your arms come along for the ride. Just a big, big open movement, just moving through as many joint spaces here, lines in the body. And then the next time you come over to the right, leave your arms open in the T shape, stacking your knees. Extend your left leg long, and then start to roll to the right and slide your left foot and turn your upper body towards the floor, and then roll back onto your back. Let your left foot slide back. So there's just a rocking towards the left side. Your left leg is long, let it slide along the floor. Your hands come together, you're reaching your chest towards the left side of your space. And then the next time you open up, stay. If that is too much, with the amount of the twist, you could stack your knees, so bend your left knee instead of keeping that leg straight, or just draw your knees down a little towards the short end of your mat. Just feel for an opening through your left side body, outer left hip, left side of the chest, the pectoral area. Take 2 more rounds of breath here. Do some holding today in postures, shapes, a little bit more than standard, I guess. And then on your next inhale, just bring your left leg up, set both feet down, put your hips back in the center of your mat, and just do a couple of pelvic tilts to neutralize your spine. And then stack your knees again and rock back and forth. Big, big rocking movement back and forth. Let your arms go with, let it be a joyful movement. Take some of the cues I get for joyful movement come just from watching kids, right? So let it be like kid-like, childlike, which is beginner's mind, a little bit more childlike. Next time your knees come over to the left, you'll extend your right leg long, arms are in a T, and then you just slide your right foot along the floor as you kind of turn your upper body towards the right side, and then roll back open, back to your back, arms to a T, and then just roll your upper body towards the floor as you slide your right leg out. Just moving in this way, kind of getting a little twist, a little side opening, and then the next time you open up, you're lying back on your back, just stay. Arms out to a T, right leg is extended long. Can you draw your right hip away from your right lower ribs, inviting some more space in there? Two more rounds of breath here. And then inhale your right leg up, come back to center, set yourself back to the center of your mat, couple of pelvic tilts or cat-cow movements to neutralize your spine, neutralize your pelvis after the twist, right? And then interlace your hands behind your head and press your elbows into the floor, arch your back away from the floor. That's your inhale. And then on your exhale, draw your knees up, your feet up towards the ceiling, round yourself up off the floor, press your elbows towards one another. So that's the exhale. So inhale, you come back down, open the elbows out, lift your low back away from the floor, and exhale, lift your legs up towards the ceiling, round up, elbows come together. Take a few here. Just beginning to notice some core engagement. Next time your knees or your legs are extended up towards the ceiling, bring your knees into your chest, head and shoulders off the ground, elbows towards one another. That's your exhale. And then on your inhale, just press your feet away and open up your elbows to the side again. Low back comes off the floor. How far you take your feet is up to you. Exhale, round and bring everything in. And inhale, push your feet away, open up your elbows to the side. Again, just feeling some core engagement. Navel drawn in towards the midline. And the next time you come with everything together, hold here, rest your head in your hands so your neck is not straining. Hold this position like a little ball. And then slowly stretch out the right leg, stretch out the left leg, and come to your back. Let your arms come out to the side. Just take a full breath here in a Shavasana shape. Okay, then cross your ankles and take your knees with your hands and just start to rock your knees back and forth. And then what happens as you rock a little bit with a bigger rock, can you feel this follow through all the way up into your head? Like rocking the knees in towards your chest and pushing them away. Not a whole lot of effort, just let it be really playful here. And then you can release the hands, keep the rocking going, and maybe start to move your hands in the same direction so you create a little momentum, and then you're going to try to rock yourself right up to a seat. Right up to a seat. So some core is involved. Yep. And then take a Sukhasana shape with the legs crossed. Okay. So, and then just find an even sitting position. So right to left, front to back, find an even sitting position. And close your eyes and lengthen the space between hip bones and low ribs, as if you were stretching out your side waist. And then any amount of forward fold that's in your wheelhouse this morning or this evening. So forward fold, Maybe hands come to the floor, maybe to a block, or maybe just stay on your thighs. Lengthen through the top of your head. So really feel like you're pulling tailbone down and reaching top of the crown of the head up. All right. And if it's possible for you to get your hands to the floor, walk your hands over to one side. Keep both sit bones grounded, hugging the gravity hugging sensation. Let gravity hug you down, hold you in place. Walk through center, hands to the other side. Really feel this, the working of gravity, pulling you down, pulling the hips down, thighs, down, 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 down. Come back to center. Walk your hands back to your lap and behind you, and sit back and change the cross of your legs. And then again, find even sitting. So even things like, our habits are really show us our lack of beginner's mind, right? We don't have to label them good or bad, but you probably always, if you sit down in Sukhasana, you're going to start with one leg in front of the other. So we want to practice doing the funny side, or the funny grip, or the funny way of doing things. So feel this, lengthen, tailbone down to the floor, crown of the head up, and then any amount of fold. So just curious about sensation in the outer hips, right? And if you can get your hands to the floor, walk them over to one side, keep both sit bones really grounded. Walk through center, other side. And back to center, walk your hands back up to your thighs, okay? And then you might want to block for this, or it might be okay just sitting. You're going to take one leg long and the other ankle resting on your thigh so that you can access your foot. And you might have a bend in the knee. If this is a little bit more accessible with a block, you could put a block and sit on the block, right? And then just take your big toe of that foot and bring it back towards your shin. So you're really flexing the big toe. The other four toes, try to relax those four toes. Stretching the bottoms of the feet. And then take your opposite hand and interlace your fingers in your toes to the best of your ability. So interlacing fingers in toes. And then scrunch your toes in towards the sole of your foot, and then flex them away. So scrunch them in, flex them away. Okay. A little with the feet here today. A few times. So this is something you can do if you're listening to a podcast, watching TV. It helps to have a little lotion on your hands so you can really get in the webbing of your toes with your fingers, keeping the toes spread. Good. And then you can release your fingers. Now you have you're going to circle your ankle. Circle through the ankle, circle the foot. In both directions. And then with your foot in a neutral position, can you turn the sole of your foot up towards your face and then away from you? Up towards your face and away from you. Towards your face and away from you. It's almost like you're opening a book and closing it. Great. And then you can shake that leg out. We'll go to the other side. Start with the big toe, just pulling the big toe like you're pulling on a lever. The other 4 toes, try to relax them. So working with the fascia on the bottom of the foot. Notice the rest of your body, the shape of your posture as you're sitting here. Then interlace your fingers in your toes. Might have to get a little help from the other hand. And then you're gonna scrunch the toes in towards your sole of your foot. Press your toes away. Scrunch the toes in. Flex and extend. Flex and extend. Your fingers can help, or you can just, the fingers are providing the opening and you use your toes to do this. Muscles in your feet, likely. Then release your fingers and we'll circle this foot around. Both directions. So one of the things I think we do by default as humans is we ignore certain places. The feet don't get a lot of attention in our yoga practice, but boy, we do a lot of standing, so pretty important. And then when you come to neutral, bring the sole of your foot up towards your face and then away. Good. And you can let that get released, come to hands and knees. Now imagine first time ever getting the cat-cow instruction. On your inhale, turn your toes under, draw your chest forward, belly reaches towards the floor, and your tail feathers spread. And on the exhale, top of your feet to the floor, round your back up towards the ceiling, tuck your chin. So every inhale, turn the toes under, chest forward, gaze forward, and spreading through your tail feathers, through your pelvis, through your hips, and then pressing down through your hands, rounding your back, tops of your feet to the floor. Okay, take a few rounds. And then find a neutral spine. Bring your knees in a little closer. Extend your right leg out, just your right leg out. Point your toes down towards the ceiling and square your hips towards the floor. Okay? Now inhale, draw your knee in towards your right tricep, outer upper arm, and then press back through your foot. Extend the leg long and go back and forth with that a few times. And the next time your leg is extended out behind you, toes down towards the ceiling, next inhale, draw your knee forward towards your chest and lay your knee down right by the inner right wrist. Slide your left leg long. So you're in a pigeon shape, but you're resting on your shin. And then just rock your hips back and forth. You may feel some sensation in the ankle joint, the top of your foot or the ankle joint. Just rock here, just rock, 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 back and forth. Now I have my blanket in the way, so I'm gonna move that out of the way. So I'll see you back in that shape momentarily. Good. Then turn the back toes under and lift. Lift the back leg off the floor and press your hips back and come to downward dog. Take the edge of your mat with your hands so that your weight is on your thumb side of your hand. So you grab the edge of your mat, your fingers are underneath the mat, your thumb on the top of the mat. There's the hand position for our downward dog. And then lift your heels off the floor. Lift your heels off the floor. And we'll stay here. We'll stay here for 2 rounds of breath. Slowly, 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 slowly reach your heels towards the floor, just as until you feel a sensation in your calves, a good opening in the calf muscle, the calf area. And then on your next inhale, drop your knees. Take your hands now, palms to the mat, and bring your hips back towards your heels, just towards your heels. You don't have to come all the way down. Arms extended, and tent your fingers now. So press the little mounds of your fingers into the floor, into the mat, and have a, you have a tent-like shape with your hands. Reach your tailbone back, 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 back. Arms stay nice and extended. And then slide your hands towards your body, palms to the floor, and take a few rounds of cat-cow. Same thing, tuck your toes under on the cow, and then press the floor away around your back, tops of your feet to the floor with the cat, the angry cat. We'll go back and forth a few times with this. And then find neutral spine. Bring your knees a little closer into your body. Extend your left leg out. Point your toes down towards the floor and square your hips. So we usually kind of tilt to one side with this action. It's probably pretty hard to tell what you're doing, but see if you can square your hips to the floor. Left leg parallel to the ground, and then bring your left knee towards your left tricep. Inhale to extend out. Exhale. Now extend the leg long. Bring your knee in towards your tricep. Try to keep your hips as square as possible. And then the next time you inhale, bring your knee in towards the inside of your left wrist, set it down on the floor, slide your right leg long so you're resting on your shin, and then just rock your hips back and forth. Great. Now turn the back toes under the right leg, lift your leg off the floor, press your hips back, find downward dog again. Take the edges of your mat with your hands so your thumb side gets the pressure. Walk your feet a little closer to your hands so you're in a short downward dog stance, and lift your heels off the floor. Draw your hips back. Stay here. Breathing. And we do this shape a lot. Maybe having your hands on the outside of edges of your mat feels a little different, a little new to you. Reach your heels down towards the floor until you start to feel some sensation in your calves, in your calf complex. Don't go to a pain place, but just go to a good, strong sensation place. Then drop your knees to the floor, palms to the floor. You're in the tabletop position again. Take 2 rounds of cat cow. And then bring your elbows down to the floor, slide your legs long, come down into a sphinx position. So in the sphinx position, draw your shoulder blades down and in, so tops of the shoulders away from the ears. And then I'll turn your toes under here and lift your legs. So engage the kneecaps and the legs lift, the knees are off the floor. Your pelvis and everything stays on the floor. Toes are turned under. Now, can you lift, bring your navel away from the floor strongly? Strongly bring your navel away from the floor. Legs are engaged. Shoulder, see what happens when you do that. If you're all of a sudden your tops of your shoulders went up into your ears, keep drawing your shoulder blades down. Press your elbows firmly, your forearms firmly into the floor. So there's definitely some work here. Good. And then slowly lower to the floor. Find stacked hands and rest your forehead on your hands. Bend the knees here and softly windshield wiper the feet, or just take a breath. Okay. So now something we do a lot on our backs, we'll just do on our tummies here. So slide both feet over to the right corner of your mat. Right? Stack your feet together and then slide your head on your hands over so that the left elbow is pointing up towards the front of your space. Your right elbow is pointing more towards your hip. All right. And if you go to an edge that feels like it's too much work, just back off slightly. But now feel for lengthening and creating space on your left side body. Okay, head and hand business come back to center, feet come back to the center. Take your feet over to the left corner of your mat and slide your right elbow up and away and your left elbow sort of sliding back towards your left side ribs. Resting your forehead on your hand pillow and see if you can allow for some space to happen in the right side ribs. Slide back to center. Hands, head, legs are long. Everything's lined up in one line. And then release your arms to your sides, forehead to the ground. Reach your fingertips down and away towards the short end of your mat, towards your feet. Then draw your shoulder tops off the floor or away from the floor. Lift your palms up towards the ceiling. Lift your head and shoulders just enough to look at the front edge of your mat. Lift your legs and think about length here. think about being as long as possible. So reach through your toes and reach through the crown of your head. Glutes are engaged but not clinched. No struggle here. Maybe you could reach the palms of your hands up a little higher towards the ceiling. Maybe you could sway a little bit with your upper body. And 3, 2, 1. Just come on down, turn your head to one side, rock your hips. The other side. Okay, we'll go again. So forehead to the floor and tops of the feet to the floor. And now with your arms resting beside you, press into the tops of your feet, press the tops of your feet into the floor. Feel how that lifts the kneecaps off the floor. And then lift the legs first. Then shoulder tops up, hands up towards the ceiling. Lift your head and shoulders. Just gaze over the front edge of your mat. Reach through your toes, reach through the crown of your head. So you're trying to be as long as possible. Great. Now from here, before you settle everything down, bring your arms out in front of you so that you can come onto your forearms, then knees to the floor, then press hips up and reach hips back. So your forearms are on the floor, you just reach the hips back. Then slide one hand, slide the other hand, find table. Turn toes under, press your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Now, you're not grabbing the edge of your mat this time, but can you find that same weighting of the thumb side of your hand? Can you find weight into the index finger and the middle finger so that the thumb, the index finger, and the middle finger are weighted here primarily in this downward dog? Walk your feet up towards your hands. Bend through your knees. Set your hips back. Find an Utkatasana. Just a slight bend in the knees. In the fierce pose. Roll your pinkies in towards one another and extend your pinkies up towards the ceiling. See how that changes the posture for you, changes the shape. And then slowly stand up, press the hands or float the hands down. Find Tadasana. In your Tadasana, press the outer heel and the big toe mound together. Press the outer heel, big toe mound. Notice what happens in the arches of your feet when you do that. Outer heel, big toe mound. You might have to close your eyes to really get a sense for that. Good. All right. Then from here, you can relax for a minute, take your blocks, set your blocks to that long side of your mat. Long side of your mat. Shake your legs, move around your space, and then find a nice wide stance with your blocks behind you. So one of the ways we can, in our own practice, and for me, this is really, I have to be thoughtful about this. I almost always start by going to the right. So let's start by going to the left. So we'll take the right heel, turn it out, pick up the left heel, spin it in, set it down, pick up the left toes, spin them out and set them down, and find yourself in warrior two legs. Open up your stance if you need to, and then open up your arms to the T position, pressing in the imaginary wall with your hands. And just we'll do a little flow here. So inhale, straighten the front leg, reach arms up. Exhale, drop the hips down and come into warrior two, right? Instead of reaching forward. Inhale, stand up. Arms straight, legs straight. Exhale, float down. And just take a couple rounds here in this little vinyasa. And maybe as you go, you can get a little deeper into this front hip, dropping a little deeper. Back legs engaged and strong. And then we're going to hold the warrior two. The next time you come down into the pose, holding here. Keeping engagement in your arms. Keep tucking the left sit bone under. Okay. Turn the front palm, reach forward, reach. Come forearm to the front thigh, arms stacked so you're reaching up through the right fingertips instead of over your ear in this variation of extended side angle. All right, then we straighten the front leg, release that front hand to our shin or a block at any height to the outside of your front lower leg. So not as far forward as the foot, but more ankle or behind. So in your Trikonasana here. So you can keep the right arm extending up towards the ceiling or bring the right arm over your ear. Notice if you've lost contact with the back heel, press that back heel into the floor. Gaze can be down at your foot, just forward. Then we'll bend through the front knee and spin or windmill back up to warrior two. And as you inhale now, press both legs straight, turn both feet to be parallel to one another, arms overhead, and then just let your hands float down through center and rest alongside your legs or alongside your waist. Close your eyes and feel gravity, grounded, solid, connected. Great. Now, we'll go to the other side. So take your left heel and kind of wing it out a little bit. Pick up your right heel, spin it in, set it down, pick up your right toes, spin them out. And that should put you in a nice warrior two stance with the front leg or the front foot lined up more or less parallel with the long edge of your mat and your front knee tracking over second and third toe. So you get a little vinyasa here. Each time you come down into that warrior two, you could check out and see where's that front knee lining up. And One of our little tricks, right, for keeping that back leg engaged is you drop down into the warrior two, isometrically push that front foot forward and feel how that helps you engage the back leg. Because there's a tendency to be out of balance here with the weight all in the front foot. And then we'll hold the warrior two. Present in our own warrior courage, whatever is being asked of us right now, in the way of being courageous. Just staying with that, being steady. All right, flip your front palm, reach forward, tilting until your forearm lands on your thigh and reaching the top arm up. So stacking the shoulders a little bit more rather than coming over the ear in this extended side angle variation. Tucking right sit bone underneath. And then straighten the front leg. That's your Trikonasana right there. It could be up on the thigh, or if you want to go a little deeper, that block the outside of your lower leg and reach the top arm up. Again, if you feel like you're disconnecting from the back leg, isometrically press the front foot forward and feel that engagement to the back foot. So both legs are really engaged here. And if you wanted to bring the top arm over your ear. Okay, bending through the front leg and windmilling back up through warrior two. Find it. Find it. And then straighten both legs, turn both feet to be parallel. Arms come up overhead. Let's take a little baby back bend here. So you interlace the fingers and release the index finger, or interlace the thumbs, and just look up towards your hands. Keep legs strong. As you come back to neutral spine, let your arms float down, heel toe the feet together, bounce your heels, move around in your space, shake your legs, have a dance party. Good. And we'll come into one balance posture here. So again, find Tadasana. That's our blueprint, coming back to the Tadasana shape. And let's take weight into the left foot. So press into your big toe mound, lift all 5 toes off the floor, and then take your 4 toes back to the floor, but keep your big toe lifted. Just a little playing with the toes here. And then can you take your big toe down? Might have to take the other foot and press that big toe down and lift your 4 toes. Crazy. And then lift and spread your toes. Feel weight on the big toe mound, the pinky toe mound, and both sides of the heel, right and left sides of the heel. Great, you got it. Pull that lever. Remember a class previous, pull muscle to bone, lift the right leg. Bring the right knee out to the right. And find Vrksasana. So balance is probably one of those places where we really get the gift of beginning again, because it's different every single day. So if you find your balance is a little off today, just Go to a different variation. Begin again, be curious. And shake it out, no judgment. So I think we never have to question the worthiness, our worthiness in any way. If our balance is off, that is just the way the body works. That is just totally normal. So be curious instead of judgmental. So go to the right foot, open up your toes, practice maybe lifting the big toe and then the four toes. Pretty challenging. All right. But can you weight the big toe mound, the pinky toe mound, both sides of your heel so you have an even standing on that foot. And then lift the left leg. Take your left knee out. Find Vrksasana on this side. Lots of choices. Resting on the top of your standing leg foot, against the calf, against the thigh, even really against the knee, just as long as you're not pressing those two, pressing into that joint space too tensely. And then curious. Releasing that. And shaking it out, bouncing it out. We'll do a little calf stretch because I find my calves get quite tight when I do that. So Tadasana. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, set your hips back. Utkatasana. All right, from here, right hands down to the floor. So you're in a modified forward fold, right? Then step left foot back. So you're in a lunge, toes turned under, and stretch that calf complex out. And you can turn your heel out or in just to get into a different place. If it's too much work at any point, just bring the other knee down. Then switch feet. So right leg back, and you can play with heel in and heel out. That'll work a little different area of the calf complex. Both feet back, downward facing dog. Can you lift your wrists away from the floor? Roll your triceps down towards the floor. Feel how that changes your downward dog. Bend your knees, stick your sit bones up in the air. Reach your heels down towards the floor. The next inhale, drop your knees to the floor, cow. Exhale, forearms to the floor first, back to child's pose. Always find to put something between the thighs and the calves. If you're able to bring your hips all the way back towards your heels, separate your knees now wide so the big toes are touching only. And see if you can lay into your mat. Bring your tummy, your chest in towards the mat. And then just lift your head so you can lift your gaze, slide forward on your mat so you're on your belly. Make a little pillow with your hands. Rest your forehead on the pillow. So we call this crocodile pose. Tops of the feet to the floor. That doesn't feel comfortable for any reason, you can lift your feet off the floor, rocking your feet side to side or windshield wiper your feet. And if possible, just to be into something new and different, just let yourself rest in Shavasana here. Feel your energy settling to a more relaxed, calm energy as you really work with the, on our bellies, we got the vagus nerve. It's being activated here very strongly, so feel that settling your energy, calmer energy. Letting gravity do its good work here. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. May all beings be happy and find peace. Namaste.